We've got this in within the last half hour. President Trump is declaring that the days of ISIS are, quote, numbered. This after the U.S. coalition confirmed that the bloody and violent 9-month-long campaign to retake that key northern Iraqi city of Mosul from the Islamic State has ended in victory for Iraqi security forces. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi congratulating the armed forces for their efforts that left much of the city in ruins. I mean, look at these pictures, but there's the congratulations going on right now. Nearly 1 million people are still displaced. With the city firmly under Iraqi forces' control, will it be able to keep it from falling into ISIS fighter hands again? Let's bring in former Deputy National Security Advisor for the Middle East to VP Dick Cheney, and now the Foundation for Defense of Democracy Senior Counselor John Hanna. Do you believe it, Mr. Hanna?
Well, I think the question about the fate of the physical caliphate that ISIS established back in 2014, that is settled, Liz. They have been put to flight in Mosul, and it's only a matter of time before they're evicted from their capital in Syria as well, Raqqa. But as you say, the big question now is how do we put Iraq and Syria back together as functioning entities so that we don't just face ISIS 2.0 a few years down the line, or even worse, a total Iranian domination of Iraq and Syria and the broader Middle East. Those are the big questions that we now have to confront.
And also this one, and I haven't asked this question of a guest in a while, but I'll ask it of you. Do we need to put boots on the ground in more meaningful numbers? Do you foresee that?
I actually don't. I'm relatively optimistic if we can maintain the kind of force that we've got in Iraq now as a stabilizing unit that can continue to support and supply and train the Iraqi army, that really, we have to say, the first Arab Sunni army that did a heroic job in not only defeating ISIS on behalf of Iraq, but on behalf of world civilization. I think that the U.S., as long as it doesn't do what it did in 2011, which was a fatal mistake to basically bug out and get out entirely and simply leave Iraq to the vortex of bad forces that led to ISIS in the first place. I think we may have a chance of sustaining something here.
I want to shift to the G20 in the aftermath of the summit, and I know that the violence got a lot of attention, but the fact is, you go back to any G insert number here summit, this is, as Colonel Ralph Peters said on Friday, business as usual. You know, these are professionals who show up and they protest, and they go on and on about how anti-capitalistic they are and how that's the way the world should be, and then they go back and get a Starbucks and they move on with their life till the next one. Therefore, I'd like to focus on what you saw as real successes inside the G20 summit for both economic and, I suppose, international stability.
Listen, I think the big takeaway for me from the summit was the bilateral meetings themselves. That's where the real action takes place, where the real meaningful discussions occur. I would say it was a mixed bag from that perspective for the United States. I think the Putin meeting and the meeting with the Chinese president were very important. I'm one who puts a tremendous premium on the value of the United States having very solid lines of communications.
But did you like or feel a bit uncomfortable? I know this is more of a nuanced question, but a bit uncomfortable with the president saying he wanted to form a sort of team or partnership when it came to cyber hacking and things like that.
Yeah, no, I think that I agree with a lot of my colleagues in the community of experts that was probably an ill-advised step, and one has a sense that the president pretty quickly realized that himself. I think it's important that we do have a dedicated channel in which we can raise our concerns about Russian cyber warfare activity against the United States, but that's a far cry from some kind of partnership where we're sharing intelligence and techniques on how to combat a problem that the Russians created in the first place.
Exactly, and to try and tell them, and complain about what is perceived as more hacking, they're not going to listen. They'll deny it. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us, John, again.
Thank you, Liz.
John Hanna is Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and we appreciate him being here.